Hi everyone, welcome back to the platform, Sandia platform, and I just want to jump right in. Okay, a lot of people have asked me to talk about perspectives, have asked me to expand on perspective. So, perspective, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, my experience. As always, I talk solely from my experience and books I've read and my take on it and my life experience. So, I've grown so much by just working on perspectives. I've really frog leaped to the point where I can now shift perspective live unplugged in a situation. But it didn't always happen that way, because I did what was required. I've done the work consistently on myself. So you have perspectives happening all the time, and you have a multitude of perspectives unfolding at once. Sometimes they're so strong they merge into one and form this really heavy structure almost, within yourself on a given matter that really triggers you or a person or a group of people, etc. So we have these perspectives and they're unfolding, all day like a sea. A sea can be calm, it can be rough, it can be a tsunami. It takes on all these different forms. So think of your perspectives as that's what's happening to you live every day, every moment, consciously or subconsciously, whether you're aware of it or whether not. So it's really critical for you to get a handle on who you are and what you think of yourself. Don't worry so much about what you think of others. Just work on yourself, what you think of yourself, because as your perspective on yourself changes and adjusts, your perspective on others align themselves, whether they're behaving in the way you want them to behave or not, or whatever they think of you in return, whether you are meeting their expectation or not. All of those things kind of like come together once you continue to have a positive, healthy, true perspective on yourself. And what do I mean by true? Your real nature, your true nature. Once you start working on that and coming to accept who you really are and what you really are, it's completely mind-blowing. Because when you wake up in the morning and you have an ordinary moment, and you wake up on the wrong side of bed, for example, that perspective carries you throughout the day, and it just compounds itself. It's like a snowball. It starts off, you're feeling off, and it just gets worse and worse, and you're like a tuning fork that's vibrating to all the things that you don't want. So that person that you're encountering later on in your day, whether at a meeting or in your family, your friends, or whatever it may be, that person is going to respond to that tuning fork, to your tuning fork. So you've got to do the work of calibrating yourself on the daily. I just had an incident today actually. I was trying to get hold of a family member and was frustrated because I couldn't get hold of them, and they weren't calling back in time, and I needed to get an answer quickly. And as I was cooking and going throughout my day, in that moment I was cooking, and I wasn't really focused on the meal, which I enjoy doing. I was frustrated with this incident, that they weren't replying on time, and they know how important it is, what I need from them. And in that moment, I shifted perspective. I was like, hang on a second, what are you doing? I just adjusted my view of myself. And once I did that hang on a second, it's okay. Let me just get on with what I love. They'll call when they're ready. It's not a big deal. So I needed the information then. No one died. It's okay. I'll speak to them later on, And as I stepped into that space, my view of them was easier to adjust. You can't go from suddenly thinking amazing about someone. It's going to feel like a bit off. So rather spend the time changing the way you feel about yourself and changing your perspective. And then it's a lot easier for me to have then say, oh, hang on a second, that person didn't mean to not call me back. They're genuinely busy. They're doing X, Y, Z. They're not trying to hurt me anyway. It was easier for me to, can you see how you just calibrate upwards, you calibrate positively, So the reason I'm able to now do this, and I don't always get it right, but I'm mostly getting it right more often and often, than not. But the reason I'm able to do this is because I've done the work. And when people say you've got to do the work, don't run away with that statement. What it means is it's a lifelong gift to yourself, working on your framework, working on your definition of yourself, seeing how you view yourself, forget about other people. So get into the habit of doing that. I have been doing that regularly, and I mean, maybe 5 days of the year I may miss, but no matter how bad things go, I write in my journal, and the art of writing is that thought energy is the highest form, most powerful energy. And when you're writing, you're taking that powerful energy and bringing it forth in an act, in a verb, in an action into the world. So you're lighting up that positive framework that you're putting forward of yourself, that, hey, I'm flexible, I'm easygoing, things don't bother me, things go my way, I'm enjoying life, I'm loving myself, I'm getting better and better at dealing with myself and dealing with situations. I'm enjoying what I do. My desires are manifesting. Things are always working out for me. I'm having fun. I'm manifesting people in my life that are great, and that love me and I love them. It just gets better and better when you do that, when you calibrate, even if you don't feel like it. Just do it, because then you'll be able to shift live, unplugged, in a situation like I did today. And I do it more and more every single day. I'll find myself slipping up and going back to that poor shell of a version of myself. And then I'm like, whoa, that feels uncomfortable, because now it feels uncomfortable to step into that version. It actually feels like you inside of you. So you go there because of habit. You go there because that person that you don't get along with, that you used to not get along with, or you had a falling out with, or this company that retrenched you, or whatever the case is, when you interact in those situations again, or similar situations, those old habits come up. But that's only to reinforce how far you've grown, because you step into that and you demonstrate old traits that you used to have, and then you're like, ew, that doesn't feel so great. And then you calibrate live in that situation. And when you're able to do that, that is the reward. That is perspective. When you shift in perspective, every time you shift in your understanding on something, every time you grow in your perspective on something, trust me, you are collapsing back into your greater self. You're collapsing back into who you really, really are. So every time that happens, that shell of a version of your old self becomes smaller and smaller and more distant and more distant, and your greater, truer self emerges. So whether you feel like a fraud or not, just do it. Just calibrate yourself on a daily basis, okay? That is what this changing perspectives means. It means working on your tuning fork every single day. So when you do the work at night before you sleep and you wake up, you're already on the right vibration. If you haven't done it, do it in the morning, do it in the shower, do it wherever you can, and you'll see it'll just become a habit, okay? And it's going to be amazing, trust me, because I could have gone down a slippery road this entire afternoon. I could have been frustrated, called the rest of other members like I used to, and complain about this member of the family, and that's kind of been old habits, over the years. And I just got on with it and started doing other things, and then forgot about it. And in the forgetting, my perspective changed. And also it helped that I had done the work, so I already have now a healthier view of myself. Each day, my view of myself is getting better and better and better, okay? That is the magic. That is the payoff. Because amazing things happen. People call you out of the blue. Things that you want start materializing. People start offering you opportunities, business opportunities. the right people start coming into your life. So those are the payoffs, but don't worry about the payoffs. The payoffs are going to happen anyway. Just focus on the work, on yourself. Work, but make it fun, right? It doesn't have to be horrible. But the payoff is huge. You can't buy that payoff on a shelf. You can't go for a quick overnight course and think it's going to work. No, you have to apply it. Okay, love you. Take care. Bye.